to the Alief Jefferson Early Learning Center. This campus serves 558 pre-Kers. So it's all 4-year-olds at this campus, about 80,000 square feet. And it was designed with nature in mind. It was connecting kids to a sense of place, not only a sense of where they come from in the Alief community, whether that be the International District, the Space City. It connects them to their community with a lot of spaces that embrace community coming into this campus with parent centers. And then it connects them to their native environment. And so we're gonna show you all of those exciting spaces, and we're so thankful that you were able to join us. While parents drop off their kids and the kids walk in to their village, when parents are coming to visit the campus, they come in through the main door. So come with me and come on into the Jefferson Early Learning Center. So welcome inside. This is the secure vestibule for the Early Learning Center. So this is where parents come in. So many of the students that are coming to this campus and parents, this is their first time ever coming to school. And so we wanted this to be a warm, welcoming, inviting space. There's a lot of natural light. There's a TV where it's showing and displaying the neat things that are happening at this campus. And it has a reception desk that welcomes everybody, all in a very secure manner with safety film to keep everybody safe on campus.
We have parent centers on every campus in the district, so we knew we had to have it here, so especially for such young kids. And so we just elaborate more on those centers and provide an upgrade to them actually, and put the computers in there and the new setting that we have in there. So it's very helpful. As far as the planning centers, rooms in the building, the teachers, I know the approach was to have the teachers collaborate together and with the specialists. And so it was a center so that they could come together and do their planning together in a collaborative setting, as opposed to planning in their rooms.
The campus was designed with the concept of connecting kids to nature. Again, the community sense of place. This wasn't just what we did in our spaces, but it was also truly pivotal in the formation of the design of the building. The building itself mimics the golden spiral. So these perfect proportions, but in allowing us to do that form, it gave us a lot of opportunity for spaces both inside and out to connect to nature. So there's a lot of outdoor space. There's a lot of spaces where kids have the chance to even look outside. So when they're walking between different programs and different classes, they still have that same exposure to nature where they can be connected. It also was important in the proportions of our building. We wanted to keep that golden proportion. So when we look at the roof line compared to the canopies, when we look at the clear story windows compared to the building, all of those were very intentionally done with the golden proportion so that you felt a sense of calm and a sense of peace, which nature provides. So it was really instrumental in every thread of the design of this building.
So the way that these early learning centers came about was actually May 2015, when a bond was passed by the community that they wanted to go full day for pre-K. Shortly after that bond passed, I was hired to spearhead all of these projects. And at the beginning, it was mostly about, okay, how are we going to go to full day? What do we need? What are the things that we were going to do differently? All 24 of our campuses had a half-day pre-K, but we knew that we were not going to be able to go full day unless we expanded. And then our former superintendent formed a pre-K task force, and that was the beginning of planning for what was to come.
We decided that we would explore the options of providing daycare either A, on each one of our campuses by doing, in essence, an 8-classroom addition, and or standalone facilities. Throughout many meetings and evaluations and studies, it was determined that it would be best for Alief ISD to do standalone centers, yet still offering full-day pre-K at our elementary schools that weren't part of the center. When we envisioned our centers, after looking at different facilities, for instance, we based our initial design centered around a facility up in Mansfield, Texas. And from there, we wanted to expand on that because at the time they only offered part-time. We were going to do full-time. So we were trying to figure out, okay, how best to do that. So part of that was scale to the age group that we had, and offering also, because most of our students live in apartments, they don't necessarily have backyards, they don't have other areas. So part of that thought process, how do we be all-inclusive to all? So we decided to offer up backyard spaces. In addition, we also wanted to provide a safe and secure environment for our students. So that's one reason why we did the playgrounds on the center courtyard area, so we would do less staff to monitor them, less chance for them to run away. And then on the backyards, it gives them an area to go out and learn in a controlled environment.
When we were designing this campus, this was in the height of the pandemic, and so maybe it was our own hunger to go outside, but we really wanted these kids to have exposure to outdoor spaces. It started with looking at the neighborhood around this community. A lot of these kiddos don't have access to backyards, back porches, and so this space, the back porch, was really designed to give them a family feel and a place to come outside on a beautiful day, to collaborate together, to do messy activities, but under shade in the hot Houston sun. The grassy space is going to soon become a place for gardens, for sand and water play. But we also really wanted to make sure that it looked out onto native scapes. And so the prairies came and evolved as a place that you can look outside in wonderment and look at the changing of the season, have that exposure to nature and native landscapes, but all from the safety. Safety is really important for our schools. Each one of these backyards has dedicated fencing to make sure that the kids have access to these outdoor spaces, but in a safe manner. One other piece and facet of these backyard spaces is the water cisterns. We are collecting water from each one of these roofs from their collaboration space. They can use this, and it has a spigot so that when they have gardens, they can actually water their space, but learn also about conservation. So much about this campus is really connecting them to a sense of place and also being good stewards and taking care of that. And so in capturing the water, they have that opportunity to learn about where water comes from, how much water, and then also restoring it back into the soil.
PBK came to us and said, look, we really would like to expand as much as we can on the community wellness side of the project and look at the prairies and bringing it back. I thought it was a wonderful idea. And I put the pressure back on PBK to look, we have our budget. We have to stay within our budget. If you can be creative and find outside resources to help us, which we've talked about it in the past, we just wasn't very successful at it. But I think with PBK's approach, their lead architect's approach on it, I believe that they were instrumental in showing us that it can be done, and they led by that example. And we're fostering it forward with our other projects, is putting that pressure on outside entities to come in and help us and be involved in the community and show the community that we care. We went down the approach of the prairies and doing natural grasses and things of that nature. We reached a point where we needed buy-in, and I mentioned to our design team, look, this will not be successful if we don't have complete buy-in by our maintenance staff, including our grounds, because Alief is one of the few districts that I know of that still has in-house grounds. It's not third-partied out. So we met with the director of facility maintenance, Jeff Delisle, and he was excited about an opportunity, and he had some conditions that needed to be met. We worked with Jaime Gonzalez to help educate our grounds crew on how to maintain these areas and stuff. And through that, it's actually excited and helped our grounds further understand how to take care of this and how to take care of other properties that Alief has within the district.
My name is Jaime Gonzalez. I'm the Community and Equitable Conservation Director for the Nature Conservancy in Texas. This is an extremely unique schoolyard campus. I've worked on over 40 campuses here in the greater Houston area, typically on smaller habitat gardens. But when the opportunity came up to work with PBK and Alief ISD on this campus and to put nature at scale for both the kids who go here, the families, but also the wildlife, we had to really think about how do you do this at scale, because there weren't really great models at schools. So one of the great things about projects like this is they are collaborative in nature. PBK and Alief ISD and other groups played a central role in the planning and execution of this project, but there were a lot of outside groups that we engaged as well, including Texas A&M Forest Service, which helped us pick the tree palette, Trees for Houston, which sourced the trees. We had Green Star Wetland Plant Farm, which we worked with to get wetland plants into the basins, healthy tweaks, and it just goes on because what we want to do is not only create something, but we want to create a movement around this for schoolyards across the state and here in Houston. So the more collaborators you have, the more the benefit is seen, the more you can talk about it, and the more it can become more of a norm because people have socialized around it. So when you're doing a big project or even a smaller project in a school that involves bringing nature, oftentimes very ancient nature, back to school that people might not be aware of, it has to be kind of a full cycle project. You have to plan the project well, you have to put the project on the ground, but then you have to have supports. One of the supports that we knew was important is to get the educators excited and trained to use this outdoor space, which is a very unique space in the greater Houston area. So what we did is we worked with a very gifted person named Sharon Young and her colleague to create a first of its kind curriculum specifically designed for the teachers here. And then they led teacher workshops, and then Texas A&M Forest Service came and taught the teachers about trees. And then we brought a whole conference out here. So part of the goodness of this is it can serve the community that is most in need of it right here at Jefferson, but it's also a teaching lab for other people who want to take this across the state. From the very beginning, we were talking about mimicking the native landscape of Alief. And back in time, before this was a residential community, it was a farming community called Dairy, Texas. And before that, it was a wild prairie for thousands of years. And one of the things that distinguished that wild prairie was it was very wet. It had things called prairie potholes that collected water. And so you'd have drier parts of the prairie and wetter parts of the prairie. So smartly, the amount of water that needed to be detained here could be done in these very organic shapes that are put on campus, and native seeds and purchased seeds could be used to restore these basins to something that kind of approximates the look and the feel and the function of these native prairie landscapes of Alief. So a lot of thinking going on here and a lot of learning because this is not the usual thing that happens on school campuses. There are a lot of reasons why you'd want to do this on school campuses throughout Texas. Here in Alief, there are a number of reasons. One is this school is located in a part of the neighborhood that doesn't have as much park space. So in effect, what the team here has created is a little mini national park for these preschoolers and the teachers and the families, which is fantastic. Another thing that's important is we actually worked with the city and the county on heat mapping in 2020. And we identified Alief as one of the hottest neighborhoods in the city. So anytime you can put in native vegetation like a tree, a grassland, a wetland, what you're gonna get is you're gonna get a cooler spot on the map. So we see that schoolyards can be a part of that solution of increasing heat. Lastly, nature equity. If you take a look at a map of where kids come in contact with nature, a lot of our students here don't have ready access to not only parks, but biodiversity. So we were just out here and we saw a mini falcon called a kestrel, and it's that size of the habitat that can allow for kids to see that quality.
As far as the prairies are concerned, we have a very unique setting here. And I know that in the beginning, our parents would call us and say, hey, when are you going to manicure the lawns at Jefferson? And we would have to explain to them that this is the way the lawns are to look. This is a natural setting, it's a prairie setting, and we would get lots of puzzled looks and complaints about manicuring the yard. But as time has gone by, the principal has done a really good job at educating the community, and I think as a district we have too. And so folks are coming along, and like I said before, I don't think the community has yet to know what a jewel they have in their backyard.
One thing that's really wonderful about this campus is that we can take maintenance burden off of Alief ISD. These prairie basins only get mowed once to twice a year, whereas the surrounding lawn gets mowed about 26 times a year. So you're actually, when we talk with a maintenance crew, we're actually cutting in half the amount of time and energy and tools that it takes to maintain this landscape. So it's a financial benefit, it's an air quality benefit, it's a water absorption benefit, and it's a health benefit. It just keeps going on and on.
Design process is always fought with challenges because we have big, grand ideas and we all have budgets that we have to stay within. And, early on, we knew that we wanted a unique, state-of-the-art facility. And historically, when you say that, it means a massive budget. And we didn't have a massive budget, but we had a good budget, the voters approved. And so we just basically rated things, and we did our priority listings. And from there, we wanted, as a group, we involved instruction and other teams, and everything was voted on. And we wanted earth tones, we wanted, as much natural feel, we wanted textures. We wanted to hit all the senses of learning that we could possibly hit on for young children. So we went with glulam beams, for instance, to bring that in, and it both goes inside and outside. We wanted as much daylight as possible, but yet not be overpowering. We wanted textures on the walls, for the texturing of that. We wanted, the indoor-outdoor play experiences to be fun and inviting. And then, so we did some nice-looking, brick on it, different tones, the Aristocraft on the exterior. And a lot of that was within our guidelines, but some of it wasn't. We did different flooring textures. Well, we looked at areas that, okay, how do we have a facility that's easy to maintain? So we try to hit upon that to make it easier for custodial staff to maintain the facility and make it durable for the age group that's here.
So one of the design goals we had was bringing exterior materials into the interior spaces. So when little ones are being dropped off, they are dropped off under a canopy that has wood ceilings that transfer from the exterior to the interior. We're bringing in natural materials inside, but we're also giving little ones a wayfinding piece that they're able to follow and go to their classrooms. Another exciting piece, intentional architecture, is the textured walls down the corridors, so students can have a sensory and touch the corridors as they're walking down the hallways. Another piece of architecture that you'll see throughout the space is the scissor columns. So you'll see that throughout the corridors. You'll see it made out of natural wood on the exterior backyards. The windowsills in the corridors are low enough for little ones to look outside both ways of the corridor and have that natural light that they don't have in the classroom.
In the design of the outdoor spaces, there are 3 types of outdoor spaces. There's these courtyards that we're in, the backyards, and then the overall balance of the site. The courtyards, while they are artificial in material, they were still designed to mimic nature. So we want the kids to have the experience and exposure to the lowlands and highlands of Texas. So what you see behind me is the lowlands of Texas. It mimics Galveston. So you'll see water on the ground that can be used as a bike track, as well as a fun play space. There are reeds that the kids can climb through. There's logs they can cross, and then there's a pirate ship. So even though these kids might not have had that exposure, they have it now in their school, in their backyards. So behind me is the other courtyard. This is to mimic the highlands of Texas. So this is out west, Big Bend, so that kids have exposure to climbing on rocks. And so we actually pulled actual native Texas rocks into this space so that they could have that simulation and mimic. We also have music as a part of this courtyard, as a part of their sensory development that is tied to their curriculum as well. So it's a really interactive, clearly a very lively space that they can come outside safely and enjoy different parts of Texas all in their backyard. The campus is broken up into a total of 6 neighborhoods, 3 identical neighborhoods on each side of the campus.
And every 3 weeks, the students and the teacher will rotate to the next one. And so they'll be in one neighborhood for 12 weeks. They'll visit all 4 of those thematic classrooms, and then the entire neighborhood will move on to the next one. So that by the end of the year, they would have visited all 12 experiences.
This is one of the neighborhoods, Voyages. There are 3, Discovery, Inquiry, and Voyages. Each one of these has a theme. The classrooms mimic that theme, but we also wanted it to mimic kind of the voyage. So this is water and water elements. So come on in and we'll look at the collaboration space within that.
So this is our collaboration space. This is the heart of this particular neighborhood. This is a Discovery neighborhood, and this houses the Space City classroom. It houses International District. Healthy Me, and the Gulf Coast. These 4 rooms are very near and dear to us in terms of deciding what we wanted to put in here, because it was because of our closeness to Houston. We wanted to have, NASA is here, so we wanted to have that represented. We thought about Galveston, and that's why the Gulf Coast room came about. International District, because Alief is the International District. Our closeness to the West Houston Medical Center, that's why we came up with Healthy Me. It's one of my favorite rooms because this is where all of the kids come together. They have breakfast here, they have lunch here. If they have assemblies within, they can have them in this space. Sometimes teachers will bring them out. They'll do morning announcements here. There's a little kitchenette area on that side as well, where teachers, they can, they grab their food and they eat here as well. And again, I love all the windows. I love how you can, from the inside, you can still see the outside. That connection, we open those doors and, nature is already in here and we're outside. The learning continues out there. The wooden beams in this classroom, they're amazing. It's one of my favorite parts of this building. And I love the fact that they start here, but they finish outside. So just a beautiful use of that wood and nature. It was what my team had been trying to work on, sort of in our own little way, with our own pre-Ks, and understanding that hands-on, experiential, playful experiences is what the best way for 4-year-olds to learn. In order to determine the curriculum that was going to be used in the rooms, we worked closely with Exhibit Concepts in creating what they call activity guides. And there's one for each one of the rooms, and it is aligned to standards. It covers all of the domains in the pre-K guidelines. But in addition to that, we had our own curriculum, and the early childhood team worked very hard on making sure that we could have a smooth combination of the activity guides from the rooms plus our curriculum. And so we developed our curriculum in-house, and it's been working, and the teachers have been great with, supporting them along the way. I have coaches that come in and plan with them and coach them to make sure that we're meeting all of our standards and that we're also using these spaces to the best capacity. In addition to the 12 experiential classrooms that we have, we also have additional spaces. We knew we wanted this building to be for 4-year-olds. We wanted it to be a building for pre-K students. They're so used to being in a building where you have to, put your hands behind your back, or, walk in a bubble, or don't touch. And so we wanted this place to be theirs. One of the things that, as we've heard from teachers, is, our students don't get to go to electives such as art or music or physical education. So we made sure that we brought those here. So this building has an art room, it has a music room, and it has an action-based learning space, which is phenomenal. It's huge, and the kids love it, and it's specifically designed for them. They can do art projects or learn about all these different instruments. It's all for them. We also have the indoor, we call them playgrounds, and those were also very specifically designed. We knew that if we're going to make a building and we're going to make classrooms that were out of the norm, then we wanted those spaces to also be out of the norm. We didn't want it to be just like any other playground. And it's one of the things that I love most about this building, the fact that those 2 playgrounds, completely different than anything else you might have seen. You have areas where students can go climbing and they can go hide, they can slide under, and they can run around in a safe way. And so that was important to us, that every single space that was built here was specifically tailored to them.
And we wanted it to be, of course, a learning center for our region. And so we made it specific to Alief. The Gulf Coast room, I'll elaborate a little bit on the Gulf Coast room. We wanted to make it authentic to the Gulf Coast region, as opposed to this being an ocean room. We wanted it to be specific to our Gulf Coast area. So when I look at this, I see pieces of Galveston, Corpus Christi, and different Gulf Coast cities that we have in our area. When we were designing this, question came up on, they had some picture of a whale or something. It was like, no, we want animals that are belong in the area, so native to the area. So at first it was going to be a flamingo, and we were like, no, it can't be a flamingo. It has to be a spoonbill, because spoonbills are what we have in the Texas region. And our kids need to know that. And it came down to even the type of fish that we use. And this would be our redfish and our speckled trout, which are native to our waters here as well. This stream was very special to me, and it had a lot of intentionality while we designed it.
We have definitely noticed a difference. I look at data. That's one of the things that I do to see. I don't like just saying, oh, something is working for the sake of working. We like to look at the numbers. And one of the things that we first noticed was that the students that were leaving our early learning centers were outperforming the rest of our pre-K students in terms of the growth in vocabulary development, which is one of the reasons why we wanted to build these centers. We wanted to build that vocabulary. We wanted to build that background knowledge. And so I am talking about over 30% growth from beginning to end of the year, just on the first year alone. And as I'm looking at the data this year, from beginning to middle of the year, I'm seeing that, oh yeah, we're right there in line to do the same, or even outperform ourselves for next year.
This project is a local model, a regional model, a state model, and a national model now. So it's important to realize that what has happened here in Alief won't stay here in Alief. I have given talks, and other people have given talks, Melissa Turnbaugh and others, at the national level, the state level, the regional level, to say, in this time of great change, this is the kind of schoolyard habitat that can really serve communities best. So it's important to always recognize that when we're looking to make a healthier place for people, that we should always shout that from the rooftops, because other people want to see that model too.